our audience an apology. We've been saying that Russia did this. Russia broke in, Russia hacked. We have found not only no evidence, no, we don't know what we're talking about. We apologize to you.
A 15-year-old Palestinian girl has died from her injuries after being shot and severely wounded by Israeli forces. The IDF claims they only opened fire after she stabbed a soldier in the West Bank. And just to warn you, the following video contains graphic images.
The girl's family saying that she left in the early hours of this morning to go to school and never came home, and that gave them the green light that something was wrong. The shooting incident has been confirmed by both the girl's father and by the IDF. Now, if you look at the video, what you see there is the girl lying on the ground and soldiers walking around her and using very abusive language. The IDF says that their soldier was moderately injured and also taken to hospital. There has been a mixed reaction on Twitter.
She stabbed a soldier and got what she deserved, like any other terrorist.
She's a terrorist. Even if she is an enemy combatant, the soldiers have an obligation to provide first aid once neutralized.
Not one of those cowards has the humanity to kneel down and help her out. My God, these bits of the video are depressing.
Now, we have had similar cases to this in the past. In fact, earlier this week, there was a 16-year-old teenager who was shot during a protest in the south of Israel. And certainly in the past few months, in fact, going back to as far back as 2015, there have been incidents of Israeli soldiers shooting at youngsters who they believe were allegedly trying to stab them.
Top world politicians and investors worth around $11 trillion have gathered in Russia's northern capital to discuss the prospects for the world economy. They're attending the annual St. Petersburg World Economic Forum, and our team's Ilya Petrenka is there too. Well, let's cross live to him now to find out more. Good to see you, Ilya. So what are the big names on the guest list this year?
Nikki, good afternoon to you from the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. I can tell you that in the hustle and bustle of this massive event, there's one particularly intriguing story. That is the visit of the Prime Minister of the Kurdish regional government in Iraq. He's already met the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, and top Russian oil executives. A meeting with Vladimir Putin is coming up for Mr. Barzani. Well, I can tell you that on the table is a very important potential deal. That is for Russia's oil giant Rosneft to potentially start pre-financing crude exports from the Iraqi Kurdistan. And if the deal gets signed, Rosneft will become the first major oil company to start doing this kind of business with the Iraqi Kurdistan. Now, just after the talks between Mr. Lavrov and Mr. Barzani were over, I approached Mr. Barzani for comment on what appears to be increasing ties between Russia and the Iraqi Kurdistan.
For us, this is an opportunity again in St. Petersburg to expand the relationship in all the fields, the energy sector and politically and economy with Russia.
How far can it go?
It will. So of course, now we have a good relation, and we hope that it will be better.
Do you think it will raise any eyebrows elsewhere?
I hope so.
We may only guess what exactly the Prime Minister meant here. It could be people in the U.S. raising eyebrows in Washington, because Washington has seemed to really enjoy its role as the patron of the Kurds, both in Iraq and in Syria, and we believe that they don't really want to give up any of that. speaking of more events that are really important here at this forum, later we're going to have the main event, which is the plenary session. Well, all the leaders of this forum will be taking part, including Vladimir Putin. So you better watch out for that. And everyone here is expecting that big panel discussion.
Thanks for that, Ilya. Keeping the finger on the pulse of these major money deals. That's RT's Ilya Petrenko. Meanwhile, financial analysts say the resilience of the Russia which people can buy, hoping to cash in on in the case of a default. So as you can see, after spring 2014, when the first sanctions were imposed against Russia, more and more people started to buy these swaps, leading its price to peak at the beginning of 2015. However, now those very swaps are even lower than 3 years ago, which basically means the Russian St. Petersburg Forum.
Russia's come through a very turbulent period well, and I think the economy is now positioned very well, stable, and with an opportunity for growth, and that's what appeals to investors.
With their Russian customers, with their Russian partners, with their Russian joint ventures. And I think, again, those are the kind of apolitical ties between our peoples that bind. And I'd like to see those grow over time. And I hope we have the political relationship and the political framework.
We're also meeting with a number of governors right now from different states that I've had this morning in order to work to see where kind of investments in clinical research and investments in medical education that we're making, the different states as well as the federal government.
We're here to solve problems, we're here to create jobs, we're here to find an open ear.
Plenty more news still to come after this short break. Stay with us.
Security, and even value to your home. Call Crocodile.
Aimed at